Hello and welcome. I want to apologize to whomever is listening to this and also to myself because I've been very inconsistent with posting here, but because I was positively busy. Okay. So I want to take this moment to make a little update on how things are going and also discuss some thoughts I had on social media as the final form for sharing thoughts. So, little updates. I am back in Berlin. I had been traveling in Italy to present some work, to London to work on some things with a friend, and to visit some bookshops, which I wanted to sort of cultivate, I wouldn't say a relationship with, but just introduce myself and check if they had some of my books, telling them that I would be publishing a new one soon and that perhaps we could do a book launch some days, blah, 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 blah. And then I was in Amsterdam for 2 events. So yes, I was positively busy, which was great. I was very appreciative of all the networks and connections that, one has access to when you're in Europe, which is, more difficult to do when I was in Asia, basically. So, yeah, I was experimenting all these things. I was redoing my website, which is finished, which is looking amazing. I'm super happy. I mean, I was not doing it. I paid someone to do it, and I'm very, very happy with the final product. And I also got funding. I got funding to publish this fiction book. So, okay, here's the tea. Here's how I did it, because I wanted to be transparent, right? So, I studied in the Netherlands, right? So, the Netherlands is actually quite a good country for funding in the arts to this day. It might change. Right-wing governments might change that, but to this day, okay. So there exist quite some funding schemes in the Netherlands. People who study there might know about that. Anyway, it's quite difficult to find funding for books, specifically if it's not written in Dutch or participating to Dutch literature. But I knew of this stichting, they call it, which is a foundation from before, because it's a foundation for women's work, like facilitating work that promotes females' empowerment, female visibility, and women at large. And I knew about it because my publisher once told me about them, and they helped us publish the second reprint of Cycles, The Sacred and the Doomed. Okay, so I knew that they were generous and that they appreciated, my work to some extent. So I contacted them again, made a full pitch, and explained them that I was trying to publish this fiction book, which had components of technological criticism, but also ecological concerns, as well as questions of, let's say, bodily agency and technology. And of course, I pitched them saying that I am a woman writing about tech, etc. Sorry. And guess what? It worked. Didn't get a lot of money, but got some money. So that's amazing because with that income, lol, it's never income for me, but with that small amount of money, I can allocate it to, story editing, design, and also a little bit of printing. So that is great news. Okay. So, yeah, the audacity, right? Just cold emailing people who appreciate your work, or, yeah. Another things that I've been a little bit, let's say, experimental with is that I have decided that I would share a critical writing workshop. So I don't want to get too much into the details of it, but because some people recently were more and more curious about how I process ideas or how I get writing, I decided that I would create a little format in which I would create maybe a few classes in which people could attend, follow, and I would sort of guide them through my process, but also we could write some text together, not as in like a collaborative piece, but like supporting them into writing something that they're happy with. So yeah, also if anybody's interested, I will put the link in the description. Okay, so that was 5 minutes spent on updates. This is wild. I'm sorry about that. Now, getting into the core of this video, because I've been presenting the book Becoming the Product more and more recently and had more and more conversation, it got me thinking a lot about the final form of thought and why certain things should not always end up being social media content. And I want to illustrate that by saying that, for example, Becoming the Product could have been a video essay and not a book. Cycles, the Sacred and the Doomed, the first book I ever published, could have been an Instagram account about PMDD and female health, and it was a book. Some projects that I've done were not books but movies, etc. So one, when starting a creative or critical inquiry, always have to wonder, what final form do I want to give to that idea? And of course, in this day and age, it is tempting to think that social media should be the final form of thoughts or presentation. And it can be. But recently I've been thinking more and more about how perhaps it is important to resist that temptation. Because even if social media might seem, like a faster way to get views, engagement, and perhaps even sponsorship or income, which is, to be true, what enables the sustainability of one's practice, I think we should be a little bit wary about everything becoming content. And I'm saying this out loud. It's also a talk to myself, right? Because why would I spend 3 years writing something that I could literally explain in a video essay? That would take quite some time to produce, but, why would I spend years writing that script when I could actually make a reel of a trailer that perhaps would generate more engagement and possible revenue? And yeah, I think it's something worth really considering. I don't have an answer. It's just something I've been reflecting upon lately. I also had this funny anecdote. I mean, it's not really a funny anecdote, but when I was doing research in Taiwan, I was interviewing Asianometry, which is a YouTube channel about technology in Southeast Asia. And I was interviewing them about the semiconductor industry, import-export of knowledge. And they were asking me why I was doing that. And I said, well, I'm thinking of writing a novel that encompasses those topics. And this man said, oh, that's great you're doing this, because I also always wanted to write stories, but I'm a failed writer, and now I make YouTube videos. And mind you, his YouTube channel is doing amazing. Like, he has 500,000 subscribers. He's, making a full living out of his research. So sometimes you have to you have to see how failing in one, failing, quote unquote, not succeeding in some areas just open the door for whatever you're good at or meant to do. And I think this is a more holistic way of looking at that question, right? Like, where are you excelling at? But yeah, I mean, in my own personal wonder, it's not like I'm even like a great writer per se. Like, I'm still figuring out how to even construct an argument and stories. So it's a bit too early to tell if that's my spot to be where I am. But yeah, should social media, and when I mean social media, I mean Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, etc., be the final form of thoughts? And what would be the downside of such an agreement, a consensus? So this is something that's a little bit on my mind lately, and I am actually gonna talk about it more with some people around me also social media creators and thinkers. And I will be sharing it, not on this specific social media, but in general. Yeah, because I think that after writing Becoming the Product, which was, about the commodification of intellectual thinking online, I think it seems quite logical to me that I go a little bit further with that reflection and I somehow make counterpoint to the state of the art. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the little updates. I'll try to be more consistent with showing up here. Thanks for following. The links to the creative writing workshop, if you're interested, I'll put it down below. And also, if you want to gaze at my brilliantly made new website, you can also do that. Yeah.